Howdy and welcome to the Mighty Mighty Chuck channel. I's a Chuck. I was doing some searching on YouTube to see what new videos may have been put out on the Mandela Effect, to see what people were talking about, saying about the Mandela Effect. And I noticed one of them was on Sally Field or Sally Fields. One person was pointing out that there's some residual where people have pronounced her name Sally Fields with an S as opposed to just Sally Field, and the current timeline it's Sally Field without the S. Like they showed a clip of where Johnny Carson was saying Sally Fields with an S, and also a clapperboard was used that had Sally Fields with an S on it when she was doing an audition. Now, I don't mean to suggest I'm an expert on Sally Field, because I'm not. But, I'm old. I'm old. So, I go back and I remember when she was in the series Gidget and the Flying Nun and Smokey and the Bandit, and I'm familiar with the role she did in Sybil. So I'm familiar with her. And I have read bits of her biography in the past. I don't say I totally remember it correctly. I can't say, well, this is the way it was, but now this is the way it is. I can't definitively say that. But it seems to me her biography has changed. I can't say that definitively. People that was from the other timeline, they might be able to remember things better than I can to more definitively say this, or this. I can't do that. I'm having trouble with the page I'm on right now. It's going to use for reference because doing this pop-up crap. This is part of her bio. Sally Field is an American actress born on November 6, 1946 in Pasadena, California. Her big break came when she played the lead role in the TV sitcom Gidget, 1965. Field next appeared in the TV series The Flying Nun, 1967. See, I thought Gidget actually ran longer than that. And I thought there was a bigger distance between when The Flying Nun was done and when Gidget was done. I don't remember them being so close together. But, when you're younger, the time span is a little different. A short period seems like a longer period than it does now. I'm not sure why that is. But now it's like years are just flying by at a rapid pace. Back then, 2 years seemed longer. So, it's possible those two, her role as Gidget and her role as Fly Nun were that close together in the other timeline as well. It's possible, but that's not the way I remember it. She did Smokey and the Bandit in 1977. She won an Emmy Award for her performance in Sybil, 1976. Beautiful in 2000. See, I'm not even familiar with that movie at all. Saturday Evening Post, 2007. I'm not familiar with that movie at all. She won an Academy Award for Norma Ray. Now, I'm familiar with Norma Ray. I'm familiar with that one, 1979. That seems about right. Places in the Heart, 1984. I can't say I'm that familiar with that movie. In the 1990s, she worked both behind the scenes as a director and writer. It says she had a tough childhood, early life in showbiz. Her mother was an actress in this timeline. It doesn't seem like in the previous timeline her mother was an actress. This timeline her mother is an actress. Sally Field was the youngest of two children born to the actress Margaret Field. So Sally Field grew up in show business. And see, that's not the way I remember her biography from the previous timeline. I didn't remember coming from a show business family. It seemed like to me there was some story about how she was discovered, and it wasn't related to her having a mother who was an actress. But like I said, I'm not an expert. I could be totally wrong. I may be muddling two different biographies together. It says Field's stepfather was a strict disciplinarian who expected faithful obedience from Field, her older brother, and half-sister Princess. Her parents often fought. So she tried to, so according to this biography and this timeline, she tried to escape, the difficulties at home with extracurricular activities at school. She landed in the drama department, and she says, it just saved me. So that's not the way I remember her biography. It says, after finishing up at Birmingham High School in Van Nuys, California. See, I remember as a high school dropout. I don't remember. It says, after finishing up at Birmingham High School in Van Nuys. See, I was thinking that she was a high school dropout. She attended an acting workshop at Columbia Studios, which helped launch her film and TV careers. She landed a role in television series Gidget, which was, based on the Sandra Dee film. Phil was only 18 years old when the series debuted in the fall of 1965. That's not the way I remember her biography. I thought she was younger. It wasn't just she was playing a younger person. I thought she was a younger person. It says the show was canceled after one season. That's not the way I remember it. I know they made more shows in a season back in those days, so there were more shows produced for a season. It seemed like to me there was more than one season. Then she went on to do The Flying Nun, and Flying Nun became a huge hit. I don't remember it. I mean, it was popular. It was popular. I don't remember it being really a huge hit, though. It says behind the scenes, Phils was miserable in the show. She struggled with feelings that she would never be considered a serious actress. We'll see that's where you get confused on the biographies, because biographies often contain elements of BS. Just they're not always accurate. So her biography could change in one singular timeline, and it doesn't really point to the Mandela Effect. It's just sometimes they alter biographies. I don't really know, but. It says in 1968 she married her high school sweetheart Stephen Craig and soon became pregnant. See, her pregnancy was hidden on the series. This supposedly was during The Flying Nun. Well, see, I thought this was actually during the Gidget series. I'm fairly certain in the other timeline it was during the Gidget series, and she was younger, and it was a bigger deal. And she didn't finish high school. But like I said, I'm not an expert on her, and what I remember may not be accurate. The people who say the Mandela Effect is partly based on just flawed memories. In my case, my memory of her previous biography, it could be a flawed memory in my case. It says, after giving birth to her second child in 1972, Field returned to acting in 1973 with a short-term sitcom, The Girl with Something Extra. I remember that series, and it was short-lived. It wasn't very successful. Actually, I say that. I remember The Girl with Something Extra, and it's right, it was a short-lived series. But you know what? I don't think I remember Sally Field being the one in that series. I don't remember her being the one in that series. But obviously in this timeline she was. Like I said, I'm not totally an expert on Sally Field. I'm really not. My sister was the reason I watched Gidget, back in those days, and halfway became familiar with Sally Field, is because my sister liked watching it. My older sister liked watching it. It had some good scene shots in it, and a few giggles in it. And it seemed like to me it lasted longer than what they're saying. Anyway, just on names and the Mandela Effect, Field versus Phils. people often say my name wrong. Sometimes they want to put an O-N on the name of the end, the end of my name. Instead of saying Peters, they want to say Peterson. And sometimes they just want to drop the S off my last name altogether. And sometimes, I don't know whether it's because sometimes I mumble. I guess you can tell from these videos I do sometimes mumble. I really do. And sometimes people actually get my first name wrong. So people get names wrong. So I wouldn't say just the S being owner name in the past and or not, the S obviously not being there in this timeline. I wouldn't say it automatically points to the Mandela Effect, because people do say names wrong. People do get names wrong. That's not uncommon for people to get names wrong. But it seems like to me her biography has also changed. And there again, people lie. Biographies do change. People in the film industry do change their biographies. People get close to discovering something's BS in a biography, and suddenly that biography gets changed. I don't know. Anyway, I think it's interesting. To what it points to in the Mandela Effect, I don't really know. I thought it was interesting, though.